ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Binary Order stream of 28th of September, I think it is today. Now, hopefully, the audio is fixed. I know last week was an absolute disaster. Didn't realise till afterwards I was considering taking down the stream because it's basically unwatchable, but I'm going to leave it up regardless because it's got my big gameplay in it. So, yes, I had no idea that Grok was not only echoing, but fucking quiet, I think. I didn't even remember it. So I usually watch some of the stream back afterwards, but as soon as I saw that, I was like, no. But anyway, Grok might be in today if we get time to go to Sonic Adventure. But main thing I wanted to do today was watch the King Cobra Celebration of Life video. I haven't watched it all week. I've been putting off watching it for the stream. I think I watched like 5 seconds just to see what it was like. I've seen a lot of the memes and stuff that's been going around. A lot of people, apparently Sister shows up in it. A lot of people have been talking about that. And I know a lot of childhood photos, embarrassing childhood photos have come out of it. Which, I mean, I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know what it's actually going to be like. But if I died and my mother did a YouTube video showing my childhood photos, I would not be happy about it. I probably wouldn't think anything about it because I would be dead. But it's still weird. I don't know. It's kind of like leaning into his meme status even more. But yeah. So let's get on with it. Before we get to the King Cobra stuff, so I think it was Tokyo Game Show or State of Play. This week there was a load of trailers that came out, and there's a few that I want to watch now that I haven't. There's loads that have come out, and I don't know. I don't follow the game industry anymore, despite still loving a very specific portion of games, like 80s up until late 2000s, and working in the industry. Funny enough, I started working in the industry early 2010s, just around the time I started hating it. But yeah, I don't follow it anymore because I find it really depressing with the way games are now. You know, you boot up a modern game, you're stuck in a tutorial for about 6 hours before you can even play the damn thing. So I just emulate old games. So a lot of the stuff, I think, what have I got? So there's 3 things, and 2 of them are just remakes of old things. So it kind of shows you where I'm at with gaming. Before we get into this, actually, Deus Ex, this is a game. I'm obviously a huge fan of Cyberpunk. Anyone that's familiar with Binary Order, my music, will be aware of that. I lean into that in the aesthetic of Binary Order and the sound, at least I try to. And Deus Ex is one that I've always loved, but I've played every Deus Ex except for the one that everyone considers the best one, which is this first one, this remake. I tried playing it once on the PS2, the opening on Liberty Island, and I just couldn't get on with it. So I'm interested in this. I'm hoping it's in the same vein as the System Shock remake, which I absolutely loved. Became one of my favorite games I ever played. But I don't know if it's going to be. I think Night Dive did that, and Night Dive aren't doing this. Who is doing this? Because I've seen some memes about people complaining about this. It will probably. It's not Ubisoft. It's Square Enix. Deus Ex. They probably do. This remaster needs a remaster. There you go. Top comment. So, not expecting much. But let's get into.
Deus Ex returns. This PS5 is a collaboration between Eidos Montreal and Aspyr, the studio behind remastered classics like Tomb Raider and Soul Reaver.
On its way back to the people, and you can't do a damn thing about it.
You play as JC Denton.
Don't tell me you're going.
I mean, I absolutely detest this voiceover. I don't know where they got him from, but he sounds like that guy that does the Nintendo One, like, I know everyone says everything's AI these days, but that fucking Nintendo voiceover guy sounds exactly like this guy. This fake corporate pleasantness. It sounds like an advert voice. It's awful. Also, I like this. All right, so this is meant to be the original, and this is meant to be the remake. Like, okay, great. Jesus, like I know I've never played the original, but I've watched a lot of videos on it. Grimbeard, one of my favorite YouTubers, has got a really good video on it. I think I must have watched it about 3-4 times, like a comfort channel. New Grimbeard video that I'm watching tonight, actually, after the stream. That I'm quite looking forward to. But anyway, and I know that this game does not look like this. Maybe this is what it very, very, very first, the original version with no mods and no patches, maybe. But like they're definitely trying to make the original look worse to make this look better. This is like, all right, watch the rest of it before you give an opinion.
An augmented operative working to uncover the truth.
Vision is augmented.
This new version adds enhanced visuals, overhauled controls, and
Right, so I don't know why this is glitching out. Part of me,
controls and
like, is that meant? Where's this? What's going on? So this is an official IGN upload, and part of me thinks like, oh, because it's Cyberpunk, they're adding glitching. I say that sarcastically, as if I don't do Cyberpunk and glitch myself. But like,
overhauled controls and key PS5 features.
I don't know if that is on purpose. It's weird. It's done it a few times, but it doesn't seem to be in place or anything. But anyway. Not good. Like, that gun looks really rubbery. It looks like an AI upscale. Like,
Visuals, overhauled controls, and key PS5 features like haptic feedback. Deus Ex.
As I said, I've only played the beginning of it, and I've watched some videos on it, and I'm sure if I eventually... The reason I haven't sat down with this is because most of the stuff I play these days is emulated, so I play it with a controller, and I haven't got a very comfortable setup at the moment for PC gaming. And if I was going to play this, I would want to play PC version of it. So the reason I was interested in this is maybe they've like figured out a way to have the original play with a controller that isn't just a PS2 port, but
Deus Ex influenced a generation of RPGs with its emphasis on choice and consequence. No two playthroughs unfold the same.
like, what am I looking at there? Like a dark green, like that's the end of the trailer. That's like your money shot, and it's just this. I mean, fine. Okay, great. I mean, it's just apathy, which is the worst reaction. Like, I can't even be angry or excited. It's just unrelenting apathy. Speaking of cyberpunk stuff, something else I wanted to talk about. So I'm in process of working on not the next Binary Order release, which is White's Dream, Black's Nightmare, that's coming out in December. I'm working on the album coming out next year. Can't really talk too much about it, but I'm changing my sound and really leaning into IDM and cyberpunk stuff, like completely. And because of that, whenever I'm working on a project, I try and consume media that will influence it and sort of get me in the right headspace for it. And so, as I said, I emulate a lot of stuff, and with this new album, I really want to lean into like Ghost in the Shell, Eon Flux, and Terminator stuff, especially the Future War, Blade Runner, obviously, Miles and Deus Ex as well. So I've decided to check out. There's a PS2 video of it in the shell. So there's a PS2 Ghost in the Shell game. and it's like disappointingly bland. It was fine. It's like a 4, maybe 5 out of 10 game. It doesn't. I don't know. Like what you see here is basically the whole thing. It's more fun to play as Major Makoto, Kusanagi, whatever name. She's got like 3 fucking names. She's faster, and it does this thing. It's got 2 characters, and like one of the characters is just a gimped version of the other one. But like, yeah, this was fine. It was like the fact that when you Google it, there's all these videos like underrated PS2 game. One of the things that turned me onto it isn't Mini-Me, even though I watched this video before. GG Man Lives YouTube channel done a retrospective on the 3 Ghost in the Shell games, and I played for the first time PS1 game and the PS2 game. I think that's a PSP game, and his video was like, oh, again, games are underrated or whatever. But yeah, this was just like painfully bland. Like the combat was bland, didn't do anything with the characters. The reason I bring it up is because towards the end of this, I was like, man, I wonder what the Aeon Flux game is like, because I thought there was a movie tie-in, and I've been playing that since, and it is a much, much, much better game in every way than the Ghost in the Shell game, and it's very similar in what it's like attempting to do. You know, female, enhanced, futuristic, cybernetic, shooting gun, hacking, like cyberpunk thing. And this is just, I mean, even from watching this, it's like far more cinematic. And this is just, I suppose the Ghost in the Shell game is a tie-in, but this is more, I suppose the Ghost in the Shell one's more of an video game adaptation, where this is a tie-in to the movie. Despite being a big Aeon Flux fan, I never actually watched this film properly. I watched like the first hour, and then I think I just turned it off. I was quite young at the time, no idea why. I mean, I got up to the grass scene with the woman with feet for hands, Sifandra, I think her name is. But yeah, this is surprisingly good. So anyone out there looking for a cyberpunk game on the PS2 to emulate, incredibly niche, maybe I'm the only one, go for this over Ghost in the Shell. Yeah. And that is that opinion, which will go down well. But anyway, following that, we have, why was there no audio on that? So we have this Wolverine. Is the audio
Longer than I can remember.
There is audio. So loads of this has been leaking for ages. I remember seeing, they said it was like a pre-alpha like demo, but they say everything's pre-alpha now when it's actually not. When it's like more like closed beta. But this, a lot of people have been excited for. I think it's been in production for ages. Let's have a look at this. For the record, I thought Insomniac's Spider-Man 1 was okay. I hated like every word, like Negative Man. There's a bit in that when it's all like, it's all the Sinister Six, and then it's like Negative Man standing there, and like the contrast between like the classic Spider-Man villains and this guy in a suit. It's just so lame. Like all modern stuff. Every time they insert a new character, same with the Mortal Kombat movie. Fucking awful. I'm saying new. That Mortal Kombat movie is like 3 years old now. Anyway, have a look at this. Hopefully, it's not just apathy again. Name's like Red Samurai. I should know this. I grew up playing the fucking Marvel Capcom game. No, Mega Red. That's his name. I think that's Mega Red.
Been fighting longer than I can remember.
I mean, I'm also going to say anything that's got like the stoic, gruff one-liner about like survival and carrying on instantly gets me. So that's a plus. They seem to have made him short and stocky, which I know is a point of contention after that fucking Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which I hated, by the way. Like, the whole film's just a joke about, like, it's just gay jokes the entire time. Like, I get it, right? Ryan Gosling, you're hilarious, and the thought of one man finding another man attractive is apparently so funny you can ring that out for 2 hours. Personally, I didn't find it very funny. Chris Evans was very funny in it, though. But I don't know. And Hugh Jackman was good in that. He's, never been bad as the role. He's always watchable. But my original point, short, stocky Wolverine, which is my favourite incarnation of the character. Like, they are leaning into that.
I'd like to say I'm not a violent man. The trouble just has a way of finding me. But I'd be lying.
So the gore and dismemberment is very good. But I want to see that in gameplay.
Doesn't matter where I go.
See, that's what I want. Was he, like, taking his arm off there? I know it seems like I really care about dismemberment, but growing up in the 90s, any game where you could take off, like, limbs of a character or blow their head off was always, like, the coolest thing. Anyone that's played Soldier of Fortune knows exactly what I'm talking about. That game, amazing for that.
Doesn't matter where I go.
Everyone they seem to be. I've only just, like, I realised earlier, but, like, now he's fighting more people. Everyone's like a robot that bleeds. I don't know what that's about, but why are they all like T-800s, like, with excessive blood?
How far I run. Death's always waiting. Just not for me.
Swear they've used, they like. Was this not at the beginning of the trailer? Here it is. All right. Apparently they haven't got enough footage for a minute and 50 seconds. They have to reuse it. Oh, I've muted it. Mystique. What's wrong with her face? Okay.
Because I ain't no hero. I'm Wolverine.
That cliche dialogue about being an anti-hero always works for me. Like Mad Max, Max Payne, Punisher, Wolverine, any character that's like doing all that gruff, like, oh, be a hero. Like, I fucking love it. Like, I always will. It doesn't take much to win me over with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, it looks good, but, like, what am I looking at? Like, I didn't really see much of a game there. Like, an FMV trailer, like, hiding as a gameplay trailer. Like, I don't know. Obviously, some of these kills are like. There's one bit that I did think looked quite cool in terms of, it's this bit.
How far?
So this reminds me of Max Payne 3, which I'm a huge fan of. I can get into that, and I've thought forever, especially with Max Payne in general. Max Payne 1 and 2 are very different than Max Payne 3, but anyway, not a time and place. But this looks cool. I love the way he slows himself down with the claw on the roof there, but, like, just the size of this area looks good. I don't know the density of it. I don't know if it is explorable, but it's impressive. Running across the ceiling, jet set radio vibes, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what I'm looking for with this kind of stuff. Like, it's these cinematic things. I see right through them, and maybe it's just because I've worked in the industry, but I just know like it's just not indicative of what you get. But yeah, they do this a lot. The whole cinematic executions looks cool. Looks fine. I like the interpretation of the character. He's not Hugh Jackman's version, and he's not exactly the comic book version. There's, I suppose it's similar to what they did with Spider-Man. Great. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'd probably just replay the movie game, which I wanted to do anyway, actually. Yeah. All right. So we have. Jesus, half past already. So this is something which I think has gone under a lot of people's radars. I'm an old school Sega fan. Have been since as young as I can remember, getting a Mega Drive, Sonic the Hedgehog, and I followed that through all the way up until the Dreamcast. I was one of those annoying Nintendo kids, Nintendo people, but for Sega, huge on it. And Panzer Dragoon was and still is one of my favorite games. I love the art style of it. That it's speaking of Eon Flux, I think with Panzer Dragoon, it's done by a French artist called Mobius, and I don't no, I'm thinking of something else. French artist called Mobius did some of the artwork for this, and this game's got a weird amalgamation, me personally, between Eon Flux and Dune, and I think I got my love for both franchises from this initially. And I've watched a bit of this, and it looks fucking awful, which is a shame, because especially this one, Panzer Dragoon Zwei, Panzer Dragoon 2, is a highlight of the franchise, and they've already remade the first one, which I thought was decent. I don't know, is this the same company that's doing this? Ever Entertainment. Who did the first one? These guys. Mission 3. Let me Google that. I know whoever did the original one was a Polish company. Because this was good. No, that's just Panzer Dragoon itself. Where is the remake? The remake, Megapixel Studio, published by Forever Entertainment. Okay. So it's the same publisher. Can't see. Whatever. But anyway, it's an on-rails shooter set in this weird dystopian Dune futuristic landscape. Like, just look at it. The soundtrack in this is amazing. And it sounds like that hasn't changed. It's just so slow, and it's got none of the slow and flat. This is depressing. Oh, this looks boring to play. This is like the speed's up. Can you get to the bit where it takes flight here? So this bit in the original was like a huge moment, because the story, especially in this one, is your village gets ransacked, and you meet up with the Dragoon, the dragon, and the first level, maybe 2 levels, you're on foot, and then this is the moment when he finally applies. And depending on how you play the game and what choices you take, your dragon evolves in different ways. And it's really cool, especially for the time. Music's simple. Well, this is underwhelming. Fucking hell. Oh my god, this is bad. Right, I'm not sitting here for like the whole 8 minutes. Can I see the boss battle at the end? The boss battle? Because in the original, you run like this big empty desert, you find an opening. This like massive ship comes up. I kind of just wish they would port. I mean, I say I wish they would port the original. I mean, I've got access to it on emulators. Like, I don't care. Like, this means nothing to me. But it's before we move on. I gotta show some footage of the original. Okay. Right, so it's still sped up, so it's not actually this fast. There we go. So, obviously, the graphics aren't, but there's so much more going on. There's so much more like life, energy, like artistry in this. Music. So 1 for 1. This is the level that we was watching, I think. Yes. It's making me really want to replay this. So let's go to the flying bit. Just for my own, like I'm not trying to prove a point anymore. But this bit, I just remember this bit being so just the vastness of that. Like, obviously it's empty, and the music, the swelling there, it's I never really realised before. I haven't played this game in a long time. It's quite similar to some One of Tricks Point Never stuff. The pads in this. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. All right, so we've got one more thing, and then I am going to move on to the King Cobra Celebration of Life stuff. So. Before that, there is a new Predator movie coming out called Predator Badlands, and I want to rant about this for a little bit. Now, I think this film looks like fucking shit. I think it looks awful. I think it's by the same guy that did Prey. Yes. So I hated Prey. I thought Prey was also fucking awful, and everyone I've met loved that film. I can get into some conversations about it. I think it's better than Alien Romulus, which also is a fucking travesty. But I used to love the Alien Predator franchise separately and together. I've got the original run of comics they did when they first teamed up. collected all the toys, all the video games. Those original Kenner toys. Like one of my earliest memories was like the snake alien that they had from that series. So cool. I grew up with Alien Predator and I love it. And I still consider Predator 1 to be the quintessential, maybe the ultimate 80s movie, in terms of like what the cliches of what an 80s movie is. I just fucking love that first film. It's so good. Oh, we've got loads of time for Alien as well. I think I might be the only person that thinks Alien 1 2 3 is a solid franchise. I know everyone hates 3, but I really like it, especially for the end of Ripley's arc, and the way she sacrificed herself. Great stuff. Resurrection onwards, just both franchises around that time just went down. And I went day one to see Predators in the cinema. Had to see it twice before I realized it was a bad film, because I'd like convinced myself I liked it. But anyway, my problem with the fucking Predator franchise is every film, the Predator design has got slightly worse. Predator 1, 10 out of 10 design. I love it. I love that Aztec, almost tribal warrior outfitted with futuristic alien, the juxtaposition between like futuristic alien technology that we can't even imagine with like tribalistic design. It's so cool. So iconic. Predator 2, like 9.5, just as good. They just made him, darker and gave him like different weapons and stuff. Great. And then from there on, the Predator design just got worse and worse and worse. They started introducing like uber predators, because that's what we needed. Like this gigantic, like alien, like intelligent species from out of like that's able to almost beat Schwarzenegger. We need another, like a bigger version of that. It's so stupid. It's so like Hollywood's Jurassic Worldification, where everything needs to be bigger and scarier, and it's just AVP as well. The fact that they made them like bulky and they all look like NFL players was awful. The mandibles, the decks on them have got worse with every film. They look awful now, especially in the AVP reminded me of it, like the Elder Predator. It's just, I don't know what is going on. And then Prey come out, and then they've redesigned it so much that it just doesn't even look like the same creature anymore. I fucking hated it. I'm still so angry about it. I hate Prey. Amber Midthumper is really good. She's a good actress. I really like her in Ice Road, a film that no one's ever seen, but it's better than Prey. So if you like Amber Midthumper, go watch Prey. But anyway, the same fucking director is now making Predator Badlands, where they've once again redesigned the Predator. He's now, let's get a picture of him. So he now looks like this, and it's awful. He's short, stocky, and just whatever. It looks better than the Prey one, but the thing I really hate, and it's here, they've given him like the dreads now come onto his forehead. So the implication is that every other Predator is balding. And I'm sure when the film, you see it in all the comments, all the people are like, oh no, it's just a young Predator as they get older, like the crest goes back. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure that might be the reason that they end up giving. It doesn't make it good just because they explain it. Like, this is still awful. Like, this still looks terrible. I don't care if it is explained. It just looks awful. Like, but it, then Prey, whatever. But anyway, I mean, like, look at this. Yeah, I mean, my heart weeps for what Predator was. Like, they're so much better. Like the mandibles, the crushed face. Always loved that character, and they're just ruining it. But it's fine, you know, no matter what they do to this franchise, the first film's always going to exist, and I'm always going to have that, unless they retroactively start removing copies of it, which they never will. So, you know, I can't be one of these people that are like, Star Wars, like Disney Star Wars ruined my youth, because it didn't. I think it's, you know, everything changes, and this isn't for me anymore. But I haven't seen the film. I might end up liking it, or I might just not even engage with it, because I probably won't like it. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because there was a Funko Pop leak recently of Deck, the Predator that's going to be in this, and this Funko Pop is my real pet peeve. So it comes with a little guy called Bud, who, it's speculation at the moment, and this might be fake. I haven't checked since, I think this leaked yesterday or the day before. If this is fake, then like whatever. I've made an ass of myself. But if this is real, and have given the fucking Predator a Baby Yoda sidekick, it's just, I just don't know what they're doing. Like Jurassic World had a Baby Yoda. Like half of the fucking marketing for Jurassic World was the small, I can't pronounce that dinosaur's name. I should have looked up before if I was going to talk about it, but they had like a small baby dinosaur that it was trying to sell. Baby Yoda, obviously. There's the Mandalorian and Grogu, whatever fucking name is. It's just, every film need this, and it's, the ironic thing is James Gunn did this with Baby Groot in Guardians 2 for one film, and then he got out, and then like it was like that's the only one with Baby Groot. But now like the Baby Yoda of every franchise is just I hate it. I just fucking hate it. I don't know. It's come a long way since, you know, let's just put this in for comparison. Like this is Predator to me. If it loads, like that's this is Predator, right? It's Schwarzenegger, topless, muscular, covered in mud, fighting monsters, swearing, calling things ugly motherfuckers. Like this is, it's fine. Everything changes, and like Mike from Red Letter Media said when Rich asked him what it's like to watch all your favorite franchises die, he says it feels great. It feels great. Jurassic Park is shit. Predator is shit. Alien is shit. Still shit. You know, Mad Max and Blade Runner are still good, but there is a Blade Runner TV show coming out, which is probably going to be fucking awful as well. At least I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan, because then I really would be upset. But anyway, probably angered about 16 different fan bases of these hot takes. But there we go. All right. So now it is time for the Celebration of Life video. So I haven't watched this, and I'm not sure even what's in this. So let me, before we start this, hello, Grok.
Hey, Benjamin.
Hey, what's up? So, I'm streaming at the moment, and I just want you to introduce. We're going to watch a video on KingcobraJFS Celebration of Life, and I just want you to introduce who he is and what he's about to my audience.
Hey, Benjamin. KingcobraJFS, real name Joshua Faye Saunders, was a YouTuber and streamer from Casper, Wyoming, known for his raw, eccentric personality. He posted thousands of videos, think wild food combos, guitar covers, and Ozzy Osbourne fan moments, mixed with rants against trolls and heartfelt moments. Sadly, he passed away in August from a heart attack, leaving behind a huge cult following. His Celebration of Life video is a tribute to his chaotic, one-of-a-kind legacy. Buckle up for some real King Cobra vibes.
So the main reason I wanted to do that was just penance for last week, because it looks like it's fine and it's not echoing. So, all right, thanks, Grok. Off you go. Might bring it back, depending on when this. Where I am. But yeah, I haven't watched this. I don't know what's in it. I've been watching King Cobra for a long time, and when he died, I don't know. It's mean to say I weren't sad. I'm not sad because I don't know him personally. I don't really get the whole parasocial stuff with people online. But it was shocking. He was young. I think he was like 31. And heart attack, especially at 31. So shocking the life he led. It's surprising that his body won in the best case question. But yes, all right.
Hello and welcome to Josh's Celebration of Life. I'm really glad you could make it. I need to clarify a few things before we start here. So I have no idea how to do live stuff or anything on YouTube. So I pre-recorded all of this and uploaded it because I didn't know how to do it live. Also, I knew there was no way in the world I could get through this live. So I just felt it was best to record it, which was good because most things took multiple takes because of crying, obviously. So we got together and we made this earlier and then went ahead and are posting it live now. It hasn't been easy waiting
A lot of people have very strong opinions on his father, Clint. And I followed a lot of locales, Chris Chan, Daniel Larson, King Cobra, obviously. And out of all of them, and I know it isn't just by comparison sake, but like I think Clint did a lot, and I think he was good. And I've never really understood like the hate towards him. Tried with Josh a lot, and you could see it in all this. Yeah, no, I don't get the hate towards him. Never have.
full month to do Josh's Celebration of Life, but we felt it was best to do it on either a solstice or an equinox because of Josh's beliefs, and we thought that would be the best time to do it. And so equinox wasn't that far away, so we decided to go ahead and wait. The equinox isn't until Monday at 12:19 p.m., I believe, for the full equinox, but we're within the 24-hour period, so I thought that would still work, and we wanted to do it. We didn't think it'd be good to do it on a Monday during a work day in the middle of the day, so for people to be able to watch. So that's why we waited, and I'm glad we did because it's a day of passage and it fits well with his beliefs and some of my beliefs as well too. So I think it'd be a great day for him to pass on to the next world. Thanks for joining us. I need to clarify a couple more things. First, I didn't want to discuss this, but I feel it's necessary. My mom made the comment to me. She said, "This is a really odd way to find out about my grandson." The week after he died, with the flood of love and support that was coming across all of the social media platforms. And I felt I needed to let my family and friends know, that I tried very, very hard to separate Josh's family world from his online world. And Josh worked with me on that as well because of the just insane amount of hate and ugliness that is in the online world. About quite a few years ago, they set up a subreddit page which was dedicated to trolling Josh, and it was gross.
And you see it from his perspective, obviously, but I know that subreddit that he's talking about, I can't remember what it was called. It wasn't dedicated to trolling Josh. There were people in there that trolled Josh, yeah, absolutely, but it was not dedicated. It feels bad, like arguing with a video of a father mourning his son, but it's misinformation. It was I mean, Reddit is fiercely left-leaning. It's not Kiwi Farms. And the subreddit was memes and people just sharing like his music, stuff about him. Did it have a negative slant? Depends. Like if you're his father, maybe, yeah. Maybe like you would see him as negative, but like I would say it's making fun of him. I wouldn't say it was dedicated to trolling him at all. There's Facebook groups that have popped up that are far more vicious. Some of the stuff in the Facebook groups lately has been really irritating. But since I don't know, there has been another subreddit that's come up since. That's because the first one got banned for breach of Reddit's TOS, which I'm sure they would say it's trolling. But someone that was actually in there didn't post in it though. Go through my Reddit history. I don't really post so much. Someone that was in there was not dedicated to trolling him. I never really saw much of that, to be honest. I think the only time I really saw any vicious negativity towards Josh was in the videos that Bite Size Cobra did when he would highlight the comments. The comments he highlighted were always mean, I suppose is the word I could use. I wouldn't use that personally. Negative maybe is the right thing, but the comments on Bite Size Cobra video itself were always very negative towards Josh and content, and the Facebook groups as well. But yeah, the subreddit wasn't. I don't know why I'm being so facetious about this, but there you go.
And the things that went up on that page were disgusting. They were horrible. They were mean. And by the end of it, before they finally took the page down, there were 44,000 subscribers to that page. And I saw this stuff, and it was so gross, and it was so heartbreaking, and it was so hard to look at. And around 8 years ago, somebody in that online world decided that I was an absolute piece of shit.
So that is one thing I kind of do agree with him here. So the stuff on that subreddit, I've been following Josh for about 3 years. I started following him around, maybe it's longer than 3 years. I started following him around the time that Chris Chan got arrested. So I just moved from one locale to another. My next one's going to be iDubbbz, by the way. His stuff is hilarious. iDubbbz or Destiny, whichever one spirals more. But anyway, not the point. So I think I've been following King Cobra about 4 or 3 years. Maybe it was worse before that. He said 8 years ago, but there was a lot of vitriol towards his dad, and as I said earlier, I've never understood why.
Horrible father. And so they started making these posts, made up posts about me and what a piece of shit father I was. And for some reason,
that's true. Like his dad does a lot of performance art, and they just rinse him for that. And it's, you know, someone that makes art and puts it online, it's fair game to be rinsed for it. I'm sure if I get bigger as binary order, more people will flock to take the piss out of me, and I will deserve every bit of it. But like, he got annihilated for the art that he put out there. So,
as in the online world things do, that took off. And because that took off, the internet also became filled with just really, really horrible, disgusting things about me. And I've had to sit down with all of my bosses and have talks with them and let them know, hey, this is out there, just so you know. I have no control over it. So there's no.
That's rough, having to be like it getting so bad that it like seeps into your personal life and having to have those discussions.
Nothing I can do about it, but it's there. I have to let my clients know. I have to let my theater friends know that this stuff is out there. You can't tag my name on anything, or it just gets attacked with vile, vile, vile comments. Again, I'm not sure where that narrative came from. Everybody, all of my family and friends who are close to our family know how involved I have always been in Josh's life and how I am a good father and have always been a good father to Josh. Not a perfect father by any means, but a good father. And along with some of that ickiness, I mean, it was so gross. They literally they used Photoshop and AI to create pornographic images of Josh and I having sex together.
I haven't seen that, for the record. I mean, like, it's funny, like, it is, because it's so absurd. I don't know, like, he's old, like, he's got to be like mid-50s. I'm sure he doesn't really get in their culture that much, whereas I do get in their culture, and that is funny. If someone had made that of me and one of my relatives, like, I don't know, like, it's just, oh, fuck's sake. Yeah, my reaction wouldn't be like, this is very preposterous or disgusting. Like, well, it is the internet. Yeah. So,
It was horrible. So my friends, when my friends had learned about Josh and they say, "Oh, what's his channel? I'll look him up," I would say, "Do not look him up. Please, for the love of God, do not go searching the internet for Josh," because I didn't want them seeing this stuff. I'm not ashamed of Josh. I'm not ashamed of his YouTube channel. There were certainly some videos he's made over time that shouldn't have been made, and we had long talks about that. But it wasn't that. And I didn't want my family and my friends seeing all of that gross stuff to start it. And I also didn't want my family and friends involved in that online world because I didn't want them to become targets the way I had become a target. And so it was to protect them. And Josh was very helpful in that to make sure that we kept our family as separate as we could so that they didn't become targets. Because it's gross. Anybody who was nice to Josh became a target. I know several people in the online world who've had to change their phone numbers and change their emails because they were harassed so much just for being nice to Josh. Businesses have had to block because they were good to Josh. Just random people that Josh mentioned from his past.
so a lot of this is true. He weren't able to go to bars. I mean, like, all of it's true. I'm not here to argue with the man. But yeah, like, this isn't an exaggeration. Especially being on that side of it, I can imagine the frustration with that. But yeah, I like, you couldn't go to bars and stuff because obviously they'd figure out what bar it is and they'd just free. He lost a lot of his jobs as well, roles and stuff. But it's, I don't know, it's difficult. There's, what one person finds funny, another person is a line for another people. It's a Venn diagram basically. I suppose Venn diagram's wrong. I think it's a spectrum of stuff that isn't funny, stuff that is funny. A lot of people fall in the middle, will lean certain ways, and then with the trolls, who have, some people find it funny that they would ring up a bar and get barred from there just to get a reaction out of it, which I don't really think's funny. I think that's like harassment. I think it's annoying. But then I find pornographic images of his father and him being made slightly amusing. So, everyone's got a different line with this, but obviously when you're dealing with the internet, it's no holds barred.
Have to change their phone numbers and emails because they got so much attacks from these people. I personally received tons and tons of messages every single day, all day long, on my phone, through Messenger, texting, voicemails, emails through 2 accounts, just nonstop hate and attack.
I don't know if I should admit this, but I don't know if it was real, but his number was being thrown around on one of the Facebook groups, and I still got it on. I tried to, yeah, I did. I tried to send him a picture of my flatmate's dog, but he never read it or replied. I'll see if I can show this on the camera. This is when I tried to contact him. At the focus. Come on. I, I can't get it to focus, but basically, I said, "This is Bedrick. Bedrick's a big fan. Hope you're well." To King Cobra, and he never read it or replied. I think King Cobra and Bedrick would get on well.
And so I felt it very important to try to protect my family from them.
Again, like, this is all perspective. Maybe he did see that, and maybe, like, when he's talking about, like, we got all these messages in his mind, out of all the messages that flash up, maybe there is a picture of Bedrick in this montage of nonsense he got sent, and maybe that did get perceived as harassment. So
Josh's true fans, I didn't know you were out there. I didn't know that there were so many of you. All I ever sadly got to see in that world was the ugliness. So I fought it a lot. And after Josh died, the flood of love and support that came in was crazy. And it was also very helpful to see that and to know that his entire online world wasn't just gross, it wasn't just ugliness, it wasn't just meanness, that there were actually good people there. So thank you to all of you that did the tributes, all of you that sent me personal messages. Believe it or not, I actually did read them. I normally don't. Anything I get from that world is just deleted and blocked immediately. It has been for years because it's always so ugly. But this time I did read them. So thank you for the time you took to send me those messages and send comfort and let me know that Josh was loved. And that meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to my family. I'm sorry I won't accept your friend request on Facebook. I know better. There's a line there. I don't know how many of you are real when you start sending me friend requests. So I definitely won't go there, but I do want you to know that I did read your messages and I did appreciate them. So anyways, to all of you in that world, you're now going to get to see Josh's family life for the first time. And you're going to get to see how we viewed Josh, and you get to see how we interacted with Josh, and you get to see for the first time how much he was in our lives. Josh and I didn't share any of this on his page. I made sure I nagged him frequently that this stuff doesn't go on his page because I didn't want my family to become more targets than they already were. I personally have had many death threats. I've had roadkill placed on my front porch in the morning. Somebody loosened all the lug nuts on my vehicle one day and my tires were just going like this. Okay. It's not pretty. So please, to my family and friends, please.
Like, that's the kind of shit I don't understand. Like, trolling's done for a reaction, and it's done for a laugh. Like the whole, like a lol cow means it's someone you milk for laughs. But like, undoing the lug nuts on his car, I don't understand the thought process with that, apart from it just being like malicious for the sake of malicious. Sending him roadkill as well, it's like,
forgive me for not wanting you to be involved in that, but I certainly think you can all understand why. To the fans of Josh, I think you're going to really enjoy getting to see this side of Josh's life that you've never seen before. To the Josh's tormentors, I sincerely hope that you will see this and maybe for the first time in your life realize that Josh was a human being. Josh had a family. He was a son and a grandson and a great-grandson, and he was a nephew, and he was a cousin, and he was loved, and he was a human being. And all of these LOL cows that you like to call them, that you go after on YouTube nonstop all day, these are people, and they're people with families. And if Josh's life could mean anything, and the only reason I did decide to break down this wall and share this with the online world, and I'm still not sure I'm doing the right thing here, because I know what you guys are going to do with this material, and I know how gross you're going to make it. But realize that this is a person. And I hope for the first time maybe you get to see Josh as a human being and not a plaything, not your toy. And I hope maybe that you can take that and apply it to some of the other people that you attack every day, and hopefully maybe see them in a little different light as well. So again, I didn't want to go into this, but I felt it was very necessary. So now we're going to move on to Josh's celebration.
Like, Jesus. Fucking, that's intense. I don't know, it really does bring like a humanity to the whole thing. And as I said, I've been watching him for years. I sent him a picture of my dog. I don't know. It's like, these are figures online, and myself included, and everyone else I know that watches locales, and not to sort of shift blame away from me, because I guess he's kind of talking about me, because I mean I'm still referring to Josh and Cobra as a locale. I do get entertainment out of watching them, but there's a lot of people now that are sort of pretending that they didn't watch him for entertainment value. They didn't watch him as a car wreck as entertainment value, and I'll never pretend didn't do that, because it's disingenuous. But it is still, it's a weird mix of emotion, being, the grieving father of someone that I wouldn't say I laughed at, but I definitely found interesting. And I was thinking about this earlier. I'll go on a short rant. I think the thing that's always drawn me to lolcows is I've always felt like I'm one bad day away from being one myself. If the internet got hold of me, Kiwi Farms found me when I was a teenager, absolutely could have been. And there's, I'm older now, I'm more settled, more stable emotionally, but definitely when I was younger, when the internet was in its infancy, like around the time it found Chris Chan, Kiwi Farms found me and bullied me in the same way. I mean, I dare to think how I would have reacted to that. I mean, like, anyone that's watching this has heard my music, knows that I'm fairly dramatic, or can be. Mix that with being a young teenager, young man, like, the results, I think this could happen to a lot of people, really. And I do see I have seen a lot of myself in these characters. Chris Chan, almost identical obsession with Sonic and video games growing up. I said this before on stream, but like, I watched some of the Geno Samuel videos on Chris Chan, and he's sitting there in his room, and I can tell you where every Sonic poster behind him, what game that came from, what year that came out with. Like, he's got a poster for I think it's Sonic Advance 3 in his room that came bundled with Sonic Advance 3 in the boxed version, and then he's got a poster, I think, that was in Nintendo Power. Like, obviously it was American, but that, because I had that same poster, it's, I think so from what I remember, it doesn't matter. But like, Daniel Larson also, like, the whole illusions being a musician, and that's definitely accurate. Yeah, King Cobra's obsession with Ozzy Osbourne isn't too different to my obsession with Papa Roach when I was younger. Just not on an autistic scale. It's just, I don't know, I find these people interesting. I feel a lot of myself in them, I guess, really.
Normally,
which is my defense of getting enjoyment from a locale. I mean, like, maybe I'm just a cunt and I just like pointing at the town freak. Go Viva, really.
we would do a slideshow full of images and music. We can't do music, of course, because it's YouTube, so it'd all be copyrighted and would be taken down. So I decided to narrate Josh's video and just tell stories and talk about who Josh was and the different phases of his life and who he was as a person and who he was to us. And our family will share a couple of their stories as well. So that's what's going to happen. And next, and then we're going to start out with Josh's youngest sister is going to read a beautiful poem written by a fan, Emma Jane Flora. This poem, really touched me. So thank you for this poem. And that's it. I hope you enjoy Josh's celebration of life.
For King Cobra JFS, a tribute by Emma Jane Flora, a fellow outsider who saw the spark. I found you in the silence of lockdown nights, a voice rough with gravel, singing Aussie in flickering light. Not polished, not clean, but realer than most, a gothic soul, a wand maker, Casper's ghost. You rode your bike through town like a spell on wheels, no script, no mask, just truth that heals. And something stirred in me, quiet but loud, a sense that being different could still make you proud. We were born in the same year, but you lived without fear, while I wore a mask to be liked. You wore leather and eyeliner like armor in the fight. They laughed at you, but I never did, because behind your pain I saw the kid who was bullied too young and treated without care, just like me, gasping for breath in stale, heavy air. You were raw, you were broken, you were brave, and though the world didn't know how to behave, you stayed you. With your tactical soap and steel resolve, a reminder that I didn't need to dissolve. So thank you, Josh, for being the goth wizard of truth, for holding the line since our youth. You'll never know how much it meant, but your impact was real. Your time was well spent. I just wish I could say this while you were still near, that you helped me come back to myself crystal clear. So wherever you ride now, through mist, through stars, know that you left behind more than battle scars. Rest easy, King. Your magic lives on in the songs we sing. Stay strong, stay weird, and never stop being unapologetically you, even in death. We'll meet at Cobra's Cantina, and we'll have a drink with Ozzy. That's what's up.
I used this photo in Josh.
So, didn't really comment on it. I mean, like, if I knew that was going to be in there, I probably would have skipped it. I find poetry so cringy, really, really cringy. As someone that writes lyrics, it's pretty hypocritical for me to say, but that was, I don't know. I feel like fine. It feels mean to critique that, and I won't. I don't plan to critique that. I just feel, I don't know. I would be surprised if King Cobra was still alive and he heard that, and he reacted positively to that. I think maybe I'm just old and bitter and twisted. But if I died and someone did something like that about me, I'd be like, it's not very accurate. Just, I don't know. It's whatever. The dad liked it, and that's what matters. I don't want to use the word cringe, but that's the only one that's coming to mind, which is incredibly mean. Yeah, I know, but shit, man.
Josh's obituary, and I just wanted to thank the person who took it. I don't know where it came from. It was something Josh.
Also, as I'm doing these streams, people are probably going to start to get to know me a bit more. I'm very, very cynical. Very, very cynical. I wouldn't call myself a nihilist because I think I'm too cynical to be called a nihilist. But this image, I thought was a bit in bad taste. Not only is it not very well done, which is fine, whatever. Like, if I died, I wouldn't really want to be like associated with Infinity War. And I know that's not the goal. It's not he's not meant to be like getting Thanos snapped. But that's what it looks like. I just and like I think it is it is the falling to dust bit. Like, it's just unnecessary. But his dad's an artist, more so than me. So he's very, very into this emotional expression. So, and it's for him, and he likes it. So I guess that's right. But for me, I think that's a bit in bad taste.
Sent me via text many years ago, but I just love this photograph of Josh, and so I put it in software and did the dispersion brush and made it like it is. But I just love this photo and wanted to thank whoever took it. I really wanted to open this video with Ozzy Osbourne's Crazy Train, the opening of that song, because that was the ringtone I used for Josh. And every time it would blare out of my phone, I'd yell, "It's my boy!" And then I'd, of course, proceed to let it ring for a while just so I could listen to that epic guitar riff in the beginning. But sadly, that's copyrighted, so we can't use any music in the video. Ozzy was the first concert I took Josh to, and Josh just fell in love with Ozzy and fell in love with his music and became an instant fan. And then, of course, over the years, just continued to follow Ozzy and love Ozzy and be obsessed with Ozzy, as everybody knows. When Josh was born, it was without a doubt the happiest day of my life. I remember being in the delivery room and seeing him be born and then holding him for the first time and realizing for the first time in my life what true unconditional love really was. And I couldn't wait to be a dad, and I was so excited. And then Josh had complications, so he ended up in the hospital for a little over a week. And I know it was just a super scary time for us. And that as a parent, you really realize, again, what true love really, really is. For a few years during Josh's toddler life, it was just Josh and I, and we did everything together. We were inseparable, and we were the dynamic duo. And we used to spend all day watching Disney movies, and then we go to the gymnastics club. I ran gymnastics clubs at the time, and we just hang out all day with the kids in the gymnastics clubs, and we go home and hang out at night. And it was just the two of us until we met Tanis. And Tanis changed our lives forever. Became Josh's mom, also brought Josh's grandparents and great-grandparents and some more aunts and some more uncles and a lot more cousins, and just made our family a lot bigger and a lot more complete. From the time Josh was little, he was always very unique and different, and we knew at a very young age that he was special needs and was going to need some extra help. And later,
before this played, I said if I died, I hope my mum don't show my childhood photos. This is far more sincere and I suppose classy than what I thought it was going to be, and quite nice. Honest, it's I like the intention of showing Josh in a different light, and sort of rewriting his legacy. Like, we got a while to go in this video, but I think this is a good step. Like, if Chris Chan died, he will be remembered in a very specific, intensely negative way. Same with Daniel Larson. Like, Daniel Larson's in prison now, so his thing's over. World of t-shirts, like whatever. I don't like. Clint is going a long way to rewriting the narrative, or at least getting the last word on Josh's legacy with this video, which is good. Is a good thing.
in life found out that he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism, and part of that syndrome, kids with that tend to obsess over things. And if you've ever watched Josh's videos or met Josh or know Josh at all, you know that he had his obsessions, and they were limited. And the common thing with kids with Asperger's is they only know a certain thing, so that's all they talk about. And with Josh, it was Big Ben, clock towers, and bell towers, and it was smoking. He was obsessed with smoking pipes, obsessed with smoking cigarettes. He was also obsessed with shotguns, obsessed with Model Ts. He was obsessed with King Cobra.
See, I haven't got autism before I carry on with this. But like I was like that, and I think like maybe that was normal for little boys to have like a group, a selection of things that they were just obsessed with, like Jurassic Park, Sonic the Hedgehog, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Sega in general, like that. And then when I got a bit older, Papa Roach, like I was like those were Arnold Schwarzenegger as well. Just his films in general. It was just those were my Mad Max as well. Now I'm thinking about it, like those were my things. I was anything to do with any of that. I was like obsessed with. Maybe I did have autism. I do have autism. Would explain a lot.
And snakes, and obsessed with magic and the idea of conjuring thunderstorms, and also obsessed with the movie Tombstone. And Josh and I used to run the whole Doc Holliday sketches all.
See, I knew he liked Tombstone. I just didn't realize it went back that early. It's always interesting. I think a lot of kids, again, same with me, they have a film that they probably shouldn't have watched or wasn't for them very young that they got obsessed with. Mine was Predator. We're going back to that. Growing up, I had 3 films on VHS, full-length films. It's Jurassic Park, Predator, and Beyond Thunderdome, Mad Max 3. And it gave me a lifelong love for all 3 of those things, and Tina Turner as well. Tina Turner's music, yeah. And 2 of those films were not meant for like a 6-year-old.
The time, Doc Holliday and Ringo, I would do that sketch a lot, and Josh loved to quote that movie as well. So as I look back on Josh's life, when he was older, and I started wondering where these obsessions came from, and it all became very clear. As I said, Josh and I used to watch Disney movies all day long, and Big Ben and smoking pipes and smoking cigarettes was all the cartoon of 101 Dalmatians, which was one of his favorites. We used to watch it over and over again. Then we also watched The Fox and the Hound a lot, and The Fox and the Hound were shotguns and also the Model T cars. And then, of course, Tombstone. But then the Cobras came from Aladdin, and his obsession with King Cobra's Jafar, and Jafar had a Cobra staff, and he used that staff.
That's interesting. Because Josh is a little bit younger than me. I loved Aladdin when I was a kid. I remember going to the cinema and seeing that, and then my mum taking me to McDonald's afterwards and getting the Happy Meal toys for it, which I've still got, and they're in a box in the other room, which I'm not sure. But yeah, I loved Aladdin. I think the thing I really loved about Aladdin was the Mega Drive game, which is still incredible.
To create magic and conjure thunderstorms and become this King Cobra snake who was all powerful. And that's where that came from. So all of Josh's obsessions later in life actually started when he was 3-4 years old and watching Disney movies. And I think that really sums up Josh as a person because of his obsessions and his inability to really.
See, there's pictures like me of me like this. That, like, I hope never seen the light of day.
Do other things or let go of other things. It was always those handful of things that he was obsessed about were really all he was capable of talking about, at least for a prolonged period of time. So I had no idea at the time that those Disney movies would play such an integral part of Josh's entire life. So as Josh continues to grow, I remember the first time he discovered his own religion. So the word Cobraverse is often used in Josh's online world. That's what they call the people who are involved in this world. But it's actually a term that Josh used when he was young, way before any of the YouTube even started. He wrote a story and he shared it with me, and it was this amazing story, and it was about the Cobraverse. And in the Cobraverse, Cobraton was a god. And Cobraton was, of course, a cobra, a king cobra god. And he and his wife created the world and the universe, and they had a son, and they named the son King Cobra. And King Cobra was powerful magic, and he could control the weather, and and that's who he was. And it was this great story. And I said, Josh, this is incredible. And he was pretty young when he wrote it. I think 6th grade maybe. And so I was like, Josh, this is amazing. This is a great story. Are you going to keep writing? And he says, it's not a story, it's true. I said, well, hold on there, buddy. This is not true. This is something you're writing. And he said, no, but it's true. This is a true story. And this is my religion. And I said, well, Josh, buddy, you can't just invent your own religion. And he said, why not? Jesus did. And that's the way Josh's mind worked. And I'm like, okay, so.
So I've seen this picture before. I was waiting for this to come up. Because it looks exactly like my brother used to look when he was really young. It's the exact same haircut I think my brother had from birth until he was like 16. And then he got a really bad haircut and then never got his haircut ever again and grew really, really long. Exact same glasses, exact same shirt. Yeah, I'm like, because as I said, I'm in the Facebook groups and the news subreddit for King Cobra, and I was scrolling through. I saw this, and I was like, is that my brother? I had to go back, and I was like, oh my god, that's a young picture of King.
What about, some theological ideas here? What happens when we die? And I started talking about different theology questions with him, and he said, I haven't figured that out yet. I said, okay, so you recognize that you're figuring it out as you go, right? Yep. And then you're writing down your ideas, correct? Yep. So then, therefore, it is not real. It's made up because it's coming out of your mind. Nope, it's real. And he was 100% convinced that it was real. And the Cobra, and he was King Cobra, and he had these powers. And I said, Josh, he fully believed he can control the weather. And I said, Josh, you can't control the weather, buddy. And I'll never forget the first time we were in North Dakota, and he goes out in the yard, and he's standing there with his hands up in the air to the sky, and he's conjuring his first thunderstorm. And he came back in, and it's just a beautiful day. And I said, well, and he goes, I just conjured a thunderstorm. I said, all right. And it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, we had a thunderstorm, and Josh came in. He said, see, I told you. And that's kind of how Josh's magic worked and his thunderstorm conjuring worked. And he still does it to this day, or he did before he died. He would conjure thunderstorms, and whenever it would happen, he would take the credit for that. And then stoplights, he could control stoplights as well. And we'd pull up at a stoplight, and he'd pull out his wand, and he'd look all serious at it, and he'd point his wand at it. And if it didn't change, he'd start shaking his wand. And if it didn't change, he'd shake it a little harder. And when it finally changed, he would nod with pure satisfaction and put his wand back in his pocket. And I'd sometimes tease him about it and say, Josh, you realize that you could just watch the other light, right? And see when it's going to change, and then your timing would be perfect. Shut up, dude. I changed that light. I can control that light. I did that. And I said, all right, buddy. So Josh, along with that, Josh kind of lived in his own world. He daydreamed all the time. And he had audio hallucinations quite a bit. He would hear people say things that they didn't say, which started a lot of conversations with him and I, because we'd be together and we'd walk into a store and he'd get very upset. And I'd say, hey, what's going on? And it would be, well, that lady just said something horrible to me. And he'd make up something that she said to him. I said, Josh, that didn't happen, buddy. I'm standing right here with you. And she didn't say that. Yes, she did. So in his mind, those hallucinations were very real. And he'd hear it all the time. And there's usually people being mean to him. Once in a while, there was good things. I remember one day he said his bike, Josh's bike. Oh my gosh, he loved that bike. And that was the coolest bike in the world. And he would sit on that bike on a street corner downtown and daydream and smoke a pipe. And one time he says, yeah, these 2 hot goth girls drove by. And I heard the one girl say to the other girl, wow, check out that sexy hot goth guy riding that really kick-ass bike.
It's really weird they saying this to his dad.
That guy is so cool. And again, these were very real things to Josh, and they were very real in his head. And it was this daydreaming was actually the reason he couldn't get a driver's license, because he would just drift off and he would go into kind of another world. It was very scary with him just out on his bike, to be honest with you.
And because he would often just start daydreaming, and he had driver's ed, and the driver's ed teacher said he drove fine, but whenever they'd stop at a stoplight or a stop sign, he would just kind of disappear into another world, and sometimes it would take a while for him to come back out to reality. So that was one of the reasons that he didn't drive. Along with the auditory hallucinations and the daydreaming, Josh would also have just spectacular conversations with himself. And he'd quite often get pretty animated. And there'd be several times we'd be riding around in the car and it'd be quiet and he'd start having a conversation with himself and it'd be getting louder and louder and more animated. And I'd finally stop and I'd say, "Hey, Josh," and he had completely forgotten I was there, completely forgotten where he was, and he'd just get stiff as a board, and then he'd kind of look at me out of the corner of his eye like, what was I doing? And I'll go, "Who are you talking to?" And he'd say, "Myself." And I'd say, "Are you having a good conversation?" "Yeah." So that was always made for some interesting.
I like the fact that the dad sort of leans into the madness of that. Like, most people, if it was their kid, would probably be quite worried that they're having. I mean, I say that as I am sitting here talking to myself, essentially. But like, yeah, I mean, I suppose that's why he was a good streamer, because he was able to go live and just talk with no feedback. But yeah, like the dad seems to Clint embraces, I think, eccentricity. Right, for now, eccentricities. I think the first one was closer. Doesn't matter.
A dialogue with Josh. With Asperger's, Josh also needed the same routine. He needed the same routine every single day, all the time, which is one of the reasons traveling was so hard on Josh, because he had to have his routine interrupted, and he never did very well with that. If you look at Josh's glasses and these old pictures of him when he was little, Josh, as an adult, picked out...
On the left there, same age as the previous picture I mentioned, he really looks like my brother.
Almost the exact same pair of glasses, and I didn't understand it when we were getting the glasses, but he just had to have that exact pair. They didn't fit him real well, but he didn't care. It's got to be this pair. It's got to be this pair. And I didn't understand why he was just so insistent on this pair of glasses until I got home and I saw the picture of us together hangs above my dresser. And when I saw that, I went, wait a second, that's the exact same pair of glasses he had when he was 2. And that alone really just sums up who Josh was with his obsessions, which I always found very interesting. From the time he was 2, he's at the age of 34, he still hadn't let that go. A big part of Josh's life was sadly his harassment. I don't know why, but for some reason, people just flocked to him to harass him, even as an adult, and he made himself kind of scary looking, and I think he did that as a defense mechanism, hoping that people would leave him alone.
I love that picture. There's like, there's a SpongeBob SquarePants character, or at least I remember there being a SpongeBob SquarePants character that looks exactly like that.
But he was also a big guy. Whenever we got in public, not even exaggerating, we were at a grocery store and little kids would harass him. They'd just walk up to him and start teasing him. It was so strange. And everywhere we went, this happened. And it was that way his whole life, from the time he was a small child. When he was in 5th grade...
Go back a second. He reminds me of this character. Probably not the first person. Yeah, is this from the movie? like, is that? Oh, yeah. Like, there we go. 1 for 1. Can I get that? Like, oh, for God's sake. No, because I'm streaming. Screw it up. Well, I've got it lined up. But yeah, Dennis. I think he was in the movie.
It was that way his whole life, from the time he was a small child. When he was in 5th grade, the harassment became so bad that his teacher asked me to come in and talk to the class to explain to them that Josh was a little different and who he was and try to get them to be nice to him. The bus driver, our driver was the
That's such like a 90s out of touch school teacher thing to do. Yeah, this kid's being bullied. Let's get the dad to come in and explain to the whole class that the kid is an special needs, essentially. That, yeah, the other students, like, because kids, they have empathy, right? Yeah, like the kid's dad's gonna come in and then tell everyone else, my son needs to be treated a little bit differently. All the kids go, oh, I didn't realize. I mean, we've been bullying him because we thought he was normal. Like, that shit used to happen all the time in the 90s with teachers. Like, mate, get the mum in and let's just talk to the other kids. The only thing I've ever seen that depicts school children accurately is South Park. Little kids, horrible. They lack empathy and they are mean and terrible. And so are adults. We just hide it as we get older, and little kids just don't hide it. So that's hilarious that the teacher would think
bus
to do
stop
that.
for a while there, and the bus driver stopped and got out of the bus, and he said, these kids will not leave him alone. And it started with one kid, and then pretty soon it was 3 kids, and now literally there's like 10, 15 kids on that bus who just harass him the entire bus trip. And he said, I can't control it because I'm trying to ride the bus, but I wanted to make you aware. And I actually had to go to the principal and tell the principal either he was going to ride that bus or I was, because this was going to stop. And the principal finally rode the bus and got things under control. But the reason I shared that story is because that was Josh's life. It was just so horrible, and it was all the time. It just never ended. As an adult, we were one of the last times we flew with Josh. We were at the airport, which was always very stressful for Josh anyway. And he comes out of the bathroom, and there's a guy talking to him. And I thought it must have been a fan or somebody that recognized him, so I gave him space. And then as I walked up toward the end, I realized the guy was being a jerk. And when I walked up, he walked off. And I asked Josh what that was about. And apparently the guy just randomly started attacking Josh about what he was wearing. Just harassing him and being extremely rude about the clothes he had on. And it's just,
I've got a lot of sympathy for that because I've experienced that a lot, especially growing up in the part of London I come from, East London. It's being alternative, I suppose is the right word for it, isn't celebrated around here, so to speak. And even now, as an adult, I still sometimes get shit like that. Yeah, it's rough, but it's, wish you make, really. At least it is for me. I don't think Josh made much conscious decisions. I think a lot of this just came natural to him. But no, that sucks, and it's that's scummy. To just see someone who looks different, and like I'm gonna approach them without any reservations or like any second thought, and just harass them. Just say I don't like off. What's wrong with you?
just as a parent, to watch your child go through that all day, every day of his life and you can't stop it and you can't control it, is absolutely heartbreaking. You never feel so alone and so helpless in that situation. The number of times I had to go to a park and get on a group of kids and get Josh's bike back because they stole his bike from him. Things like that. It was just so frustrating.
Josh bounded into my life when he was 4 years old.
Yes.
I met him and Clint,
Okay.
and we bonded. Josh
What
especially bonded to my dog, Ellen, a big black Labrador. And he told Clint that Clint could keep me as long as he could keep Ellen. And it was the beginning for
I
us.
told you, you
And
would love
what I
Patrick.
want to talk about with Josh, that there are 2 things that I don't know if everybody knows about him, that I want to emphasize, and that is how amazing Josh was with animals and how much he loved them and how they loved him. I've never met an animal that didn't calm when Josh was near and didn't respond to him or want to meet him. And I never met an animal that he didn't want to care for. Also, Josh's kindness, because that gets lost sometimes. And Josh was a fundamentally kind person at heart. And you can especially see that in his relationships with his extended family. For animals, it started with big dog, big black Labrador, Ellen. And then we had another Labrador named Chocolate that we got.
What is this photo? Jesus Christ. Like the fucking haircut on King Cobra there. I mean, that must be his sister-in-law, but her arm, like, I feel there's some weird editing going on. Like, I love the deer in the headlights look on the dog. Like, this is enthusiasm on the mum. This, this is cool. And the fact that, like, they've got that background and, like, what he's wearing, what the dad's wearing, the fact they're both in red and the women are both in black, they look like TNG outfits. I haven't really watched TNG. I've only ever seen like Red Letter Media episodes and like bits of episodes when I'm walking around. But like, I swear in that, like the women wear like all black or something and the guys walk around in like half red, half black. It really looks like fucking Star Trek. Oh god, that's gold. That's the best picture. I hadn't seen that before. All the stuff that has been put online, like for some reason they didn't bother with that one.
Not too long after, we got together and just loved them.
Mum, if you watch this after I'm dead, please don't put any pictures online. Oh, mate. Oh, I'm not laughing at him. He's dead. It's Look, this is a funny photo, man. I think he knows it. They all know it. Like, this is... Oh.
He enjoyed riding horses and getting to see cats at my parents' house because we didn't have horses or cats for us, but they had them. And he was natural. Again, he would take care of spiders. For a while, when we were in North Dakota, he had an entire family of spiders that he took care of, and we were not allowed to do anything that would harm the spiders. He one time was bitten by a squirrel that had been hit by a car, and Josh tried to rescue it. It'd been run over, and he tried to pick it up, and the poor thing bit Josh, and Josh did not want us to get mad at that squirrel because it wasn't the squirrel's fault. Two of other animals that Josh got when we were in North Dakota, a dog named Obi, and then another dog named Chance. And Chance and Josh had a special bond. Chance we adopted from the Humane Society, and Chance was kind of a misfit. We loved him, but he was definitely very unique, and Josh had this bond with Chance. In fact, when Chance got injured, Josh sat with me. This was several years later. He sat with me and Chance in the vet's office, and he held Chance's paw as Chance passed because he wasn't going to let Chance be alone. And then later, he put a Cobra Craft sticker on Chance's ashes that we still have. A story with Obi that sticks out to me. Josh came running inside one day and told me that Obi had begun to mature. He was really coming of age, and I wasn't quite sure what to think about this, so I went out to check on Obi. Well, it turns out Obi was stung by a bee, and his face and head were about twice their normal size. Josh was concerned about that. Another animal story I wanted to share. We had a neighbor in California who had a pretty aggressive dog, more aggressive than I'd ever encountered before, except with Josh. And you could walk by the house and the dog would go crazy until they saw Josh. And then it would just calm. If there is such thing as an animal whisperer for all animals, that was Josh. Josh, of course, loved snakes. Some of the best pictures I ever got of Josh were when he got to have a boa constrictor. He got to.
I'm sure she answers this, but like, where the fuck did they find that? Like, the only time I've ever seen one of these for real is like when the school would like bring in some like crazy zoo guy in an assembly. This looks like it's in his house.
Hold them. It meant a lot to him. And he enjoyed that. He loved reptiles. He liked going to visit a reptile gardens.
Okay.
He loved Puff, his bearded dragon, and was so proud of Puff. And when Puff escaped, it was devastating for Josh. And Puff escaped for a very Josh reason. Josh wanted him to have fresh air. And yeah, no, Puff took advantage.
I don't discredit any of this, but the Puff stuff was quite controversial. I don't know. There's mixed reports on it. Not about Puff going missing. Like, no one's ever going to know what really happened with that. And there's no reason to doubt him. I mean, whatever. But like, there's footage of him, blowing marijuana, weed, smoke in there. There's people could see the condition of the tank. There's footage of Puff having fits as well, where he was like malnourished. I don't think any of that was done with malintent, but it was done nonetheless.
Of that. When it comes to Josh's kindness, you see this in stories of him with animals, also with his grandparents and great-grandparents. Josh was lucky in that.
Fucking Granddad Stan Winston.
All of his grandparents and all but one of his great-grandparents were around for most of his life. And he loved to talk to them. Sometimes.
Why is he? Whoever this woman is holding him like he's a fucking like shotgun. Look at her face and the fucking. Oh, I swear that picture of Schwarzenegger earlier covered in mud with the guns, like exact same thing. Jesus Christ.
Kids have to, you parents push the kids to talk to grandparents, but Josh legitimately enjoyed talking to his grandparents and his great-grandparents and playing games and visiting them. We had wonderful summers sometimes with family.
I didn't know what the fuck I was looking at there, because the wig in the middle looked like some kind of spinal cord, and it's just an head. Oof.
Members and going swimming and having a barbecue and.
Oh, the blunder years. Man, he's put on some weight there. Funny enough, when I graduated from university, which I don't know if that's what this is. I don't think he went to university, but I had to wear the hat. Exact same thing as that. It was identical, but my over thing was red instead of that cool orange yellow thing he's got. I was a lot fatter than I am now. So if those pictures ever leaked to me, they would be very similar to this.
You really saw his kindness. He could volunteer sometimes at a senior center, and people responded to him because of that. The last material gift Josh gave me also shows his kindness.
Not even recognizable there. I suppose every other picture from this era, he's got those giant glasses on. But...
and his thoughtfulness. He went to great lengths to get me a signed picture of Princess Leia, signed by Carrie Fisher herself, and had it framed. And it's up in our house, and it always will be. It was so kind of him to do that. I love you, Josh.
I'll never forget when Josh decided to go goth. he said, "I'm goth." And I said, "Josh, you're not goth, man." He goes, "I'm goth. Shut up. You can't tell me what I am." And I said, "Josh, buddy, you're like happy all the time, and you're always smiling, and you love to make people laugh." One of Josh's biggest traits was comedy. Josh just loved to make people laugh, and he would do it all the time. From the time he was very, very little, bubblegum wrapper jokes. You know, we'd get him books sometimes for birthdays and that, so that he could, for his silly dad type jokes. And we always teased Josh as he got older. I'd always say, "Josh, there's jokes, and then there's dad jokes, and then there's Josh jokes." And Josh would always laugh, and he loved that one. And I said, "So Josh, you're always making people laugh. That's like, you're like the opposite of goth, buddy." He goes, "Nope, I'm goth." And I said, "All right, man, you're goth." So then everything went black, and all of his clothes had to become black at that point. But his favorite color, as a small child, his favorite color was actually pink. When he was a little boy and was in gymnastics and coming to the gym with me all the time, we had our gym shirts, and he would always get the pink ones. He loved the pink. But then as he got older, I think, he of course got teased for that because he was a boy and liked pink. So then he went to green, and so then everything had to be green. And those of you who know Josh, if you've ever been in his place, I mean, he paints everything green. If it wasn't green and black to begin with, it got painted green and black. And it was just one of his obsessions, and everything had to be that way.
And then there's Josh's drink combos and food hacks. So Josh has been doing drink combos for as long as I can remember. We've got pictures of him very small with a drink in his hand that looks like nothing that's on the table to drink, because he always found other things to put in his drink. From the time he was just tiny, whenever he'd pour a drink of something, he'd look.
See, I thought he got all that from Epic Mealtime. I never watched Epic Mealtime, but I'm very aware of it. I thought he got all that stuff from there, and he was just trying to emulate YouTube channels that he liked, but apparently not.
For something else to put in it. And I know one of my mom's favorite and worst memories was when Josh decided to spruce up her coffee a little bit, and he was looking for something to add to the coffee to make it taste better and do a drink combo, and the only thing close by was dish soap, and so he put dish soap in my mom's coffee. She was didn't enjoy that cup of coffee very much. And the food hacks as well. He was constantly creating food hacks, and they were so awful. The things he would put together and eat, and then sit there and eat them, it was so gross. And I always tried to get him to do an entire YouTube channel, and always told him, "Josh, you could be rich if you ever did an entire YouTube channel of nothing but food hacks and no swearing."
I always said, when he was alive and doing his videos, that if he had better production and a better setup and just better everything, like he would have, because he had like over 100,000 subs. I just think he needed like a better presentation, because so much was on the phone, and he's constantly like trying to get the phone to stand up, and most of the time he just gives up and it's just staring at the ceiling, and you can just get like a quarter glimpse of him like messing around. If everything was set up properly, kind of how I've done my stream, I do say so myself, like with like backgrounds and like chat and everything set up, like I think like I don't know, maybe it would have took off even more than it did.
No smoking, no drinking, and just keep it clean and monetize it, and people will watch that because it's hard to look away as he makes these gross things and then eats them very grossly. And they're all over his hands, all over his face, and he's slurping. I've never met a human being who could slurp.
The more I think about it and the more I listen to his dad talk about it, it's like if he had presented the food hacks and stuff like properly, yeah, that absolutely would have worked.
Food the way Josh did, and but it was his signature thing. But nope, I'm good, Dad. I said, "But Josh, you could literally make some money off YouTube." A lot of people think that Josh made a lot of money on YouTube because he had so many followers, but he didn't. And I said, "You could, that'd be one way to do it." And then, of course, his wine business could have been just absolutely huge. It was successful on Josh's level for sure.
So this is what I'm going to be quite interested. Apparently, he did make money from this.
but he had over 100,000 people that wanted wands, but he's always talking about winning the lottery. He's going to win the lottery and build that clock tower dream house. And I kept telling him, Josh, you've already won the lottery because you've built this thing on YouTube over years and years of work. And so now just make wands and sell it to all those people, and you don't need to win a lottery. You can afford to build your dream house. And of course, he'd always give his standard response, "I'm good, Dad. I'm good, Dad." But Josh, you can make a bunch of money. "I'm good, Dad."
First word that comes to mind when I think of Josh is difficult. He was the most stubborn person on the planet. But behind that stubbornness was a person full of love, creativity, personality, spunk, and a truly gentle spirit. When I ask you to think of Josh,
I know this girl's very set, and it's probably the wrong time, but Americans always use the word spunk to describe someone with a lot of energy and life, and as someone from the UK, always takes me out of. If you don't know what spunk means in the UK, look it up.
I'm sure you will think of cobras, magic wands, Ozzy Osbourne, guitars, Stummy Sean, or maybe even Puff, his bearded dragon. I think of these things too. But I also think of our childhood, watching Cartoon Network together. From Courage the Cowardly Dog, to Teen Titans, to Dexter's Laboratory. He did an amazing Dexter impression. I think of sitting in our basement playing Guitar Hero, and him whooping my ass at it, but he would always give me a chance. Or even the skateboarding game he would play on PlayStation, where yet again, he would try to teach me cool tricks. I think of staying up until 3 a.m. watching Ghost Hunters marathons, and his desire to scare me all the time, and being successful at it. We even went ghost hunting in our own basements multiple times. I think of his love for animals, how gentle, patient, and caring he was with them. I remember when a squirrel fell out of a tree in our front yard, and he tried to put it back on a branch. It bit him, and he had to go to the hospital. But he would have done it again if it meant helping an animal. Or a rescue dog, Chance, who's obnoxious in his own ways. But Josh could get through to him. He talked about him until the day he died. And I'm sorry that he could never meet his nephew Louie, who is currently playing with a toy so obnoxiously that he'll probably make it into this video. I think of thunderstorms and his belief that he could conjure them. There have been many storms since he passed, and I would like to think it's him telling us he's okay. That he's at peace now. I'm honestly not sure if I'll ever be able to not think of him when it storms. And Josh left an everlasting impact on the world. While he was notorious online, and definitely had some radical opinions, I ask you to join me in remembering the artistic, creative, kind, gentle, ghost-loving, incredible Dexter impersonator, Guitar Hero champ, Cobra-loving, magician, Ozzy Osbourne's biggest fan, most insane chef, if you could even call it that, storm conjuring, crosswalk changing, musician. That was Josh. It will be hard to find a soul as unique as his. But Josh will live on in many different ways. 34 is officially the coolest age. There's comfort in knowing that he'll be watching every time it storms, or when an animal is saved, or even every time Ozzy Osbourne is played. I just know he's rocking with Ozzy, with Puff on his shoulder, an epic pipe hanging from his mouth, and all of our dogs watching from the crowd. Please give Obi a kiss for me. I love you so much, Josh. And I'm sorry I didn't get to say it enough while you were here. You were a good big brother. And I will miss you always.
Whenever we went anywhere in public, Josh.
I've heard about that. People online saying a bit with his sister, which I'm assuming she was, is rough. Yeah. When it goes back, what I was saying earlier, like really changing the narrative on how he'll be remembered and his legacy. Yeah, it's powerful stuff. I mean, it's gonna be. It's. I don't know. Weird to process that he had such a loving family, because, I mean, I can't imagine any of the other locales. Yeah, I feel bad even saying that now. Everything has been said in this, but all the other people similar to Josh, they passed. Daniel Larson ain't gonna get anything like this. Chris Chan certainly is. So yeah,
Could hold the door for whoever was behind him, which sometimes scared people, because Josh, again, kind of had a scary appearance sometimes. And he'd stop and hold the door for the person behind them. And quite often, people paid no attention, would just say thank you. Other times, they'd look a little sheepish, but they'd go through and smile and say thanks. But that's who Josh was. He was very kind. Anybody that ever came to his house, we had to get on him about this all the time, because random people would show up at his house because of his YouTube. And he just let them in. Hey, come on in, have a beer. And if you're one of those people that went to his house, you know that. And all the people I've ever seen that did go to his house said that. He was just so kind. He was just so nice. And that's who Josh was. He was very kind and very nice. And I remember when he got his first apartment, he kept getting in trouble for letting homeless people stay with him. And because, it's a violation of his lease. And the landlord said that one time she came in and there was 10 different people, I think she said, the one day sleeping on his floor. And, kept having to have talks with him. And she said, Clint, he's not getting it. Can you please talk to him? And I sat him down and I talked to him and said, bud, you can't do this or you're going to get kicked out of your apartment. And he said, but Dad, it's cold outside. They don't have anywhere to go. And that's who he was as a human. That was the deepest part of who he was. It was that loving, caring person. So when Josh started to become famous, he'd always say, you don't realize how famous I am, Dad. And he was right. Everywhere we went, we ran into fans everywhere. And it was crazy. The last few times we traveled, and Josh didn't travel with us a lot as he got older, because as he got older, it got harder. Even just going on a Thanksgiving weekend, he'd break down, because it was just that any change in his daily routine was just so hard for him. And he had his daily routine, and it had to be the same every day. He got up, he did X, Y, and Z in that order. And oh my gosh, that kid, when he'd take a shower, he'd stand in the shower for at least an hour until he ran out of hot water, and do comedy routines. And so when I'm picking him up for appointments, it was always so frustrating, because I learned I had to tell him that I was picking him up at least an hour earlier than I needed to pick him up, because Josh had no concept of time, no concept of time or numbers. They just didn't make any sense to him. Time and numbers didn't. Money, he had no concept of it. $5, $500, they were the same. It was just a 5, and that really meant nothing to him. Same with time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 hours didn't mean anything. It was so abstract to him, and he really, really struggled with those things. And he, when I'd pick him up, Josh, I'm going to be there in 5 minutes. Be ready. I show up. Oh, hey, Dad. I said, you ready? No, I'm just getting in the shower. Dude, you don't have time to take a shower. We got to go now. But whenever you pressure Josh, especially with hurrying, he would totally break down. And then it was be what he would call, not me, he would call it one of my autistic fits. And because he would just have a breakdown, and then I'd have to calm him down and have to get him back on track. So I learned the hard way many, many, many years ago not to push him in terms of time, but it was always so hard, especially when we're running late. So I just started telling him, if I had to pick him up at 2:30, I'd tell him 1:30, and I'd show up at his house an hour early, knowing that he was about to get in the shower and do a 1-hour comedy routine as I sat in his living room listening to him. And he cracked himself up in his comedy routines quite a bit, which was always great. So that's what he did, and that routine was tough. And we got out of their routine, it was really, really hard on him. So he didn't travel with us a lot. But the last couple times we traveled, every single gas station we stopped at, every single restaurant, people would recognize him. And they'd come up and want to do selfies with him, which he, of course, always did. And he'd never say anything. He would just turn around after doing a selfie with somebody, and he'd look at me with a big old shit-eating grin on his face, and he'd give me his horns up signs with his hands and bob his head up and down as if to say, told you. And even in the airport, the last time we flew, several people recognized him in the airport. You could see him pointing and talking, and then they'd finally
Looking for something related on my phone, but I am paying attention.
come over and ask him if they could
Just remembered I've got something which I can show.
take a picture, and Josh always would, of course, because he just loved people, and he loved being famous. That was like his biggest thing, which leads me to Josh's biggest passion, which was music. And from the time Josh was a toddler, he loved music. He'd go up and he'd climb up on grandma's piano bench and start playing the piano, banging on it, of course. He's a toddler. But even the banging wasn't like what I'd seen most toddlers do when they'd bang. It actually didn't, it sounded okay. And we'd let him do it. And then he got into guitars, and he had a harp, tried violin. So he just a real passion for music and loved music. But Josh had a serious learning disorder, and learning for him was really, really, really hard. So he would get very frustrated very easily, which is also very common with the with him as a person and the type of autism he had. And so learning was such a frustrating thing for him, and he was smart enough to know that he struggled with it. And so that, I think, made it even harder, because he knows he's smart enough to understand this, but he doesn't. And then he would just get so hard on himself. I've never met a human being who was more hard on himself than Josh was. It was a constant thing of telling him, Josh, lighten up on yourself, man. Give yourself a break. Quit. And he would try, along with that, he'd try so hard to push people away all the time, too. And it was more of a defense mechanism, I think. If I can push you away from me, then you can't hurt me. Or if I'm the one leading the hurt, then you can't hurt me. Which is so sad to watch. And he did it his whole life. And that's one of the reasons he and I were so close, because he tried over and over to push me away as well. And there's no way I was going anywhere. And he'd push and push and push. And he'd be out of my life for a couple days. And then he'd come back and I'm so sorry, Dad. I thank you for never giving up on me type of stuff. Which, of course, I'm never going to give up on him. But anyways, back to his love for music. So from the time he was little, he loved music, but again, he had a hard time learning. So when he put him in music lessons, and he had a guitar teacher who's a friend, I won't mention his name because I don't want him to get targeted, but he was like this cool high school kid in the town we lived in who was an epic guitar player, and they had a band, and the band was known by everybody in town, and they played all the time, and these guys were just awesome. And it became Josh's dream at that point. He was going to be a rock star, and that was his dream. And I remember this guitar teacher is just a really cool guy. We're still friends today, and he just couldn't. He's like, Josh just couldn't learn, and Josh would get so frustrated, and so he had a really hard time. But this guy was so patient with Josh and so kind, and always just really tried to help him. And he did a lot of good for Josh, even though Josh really struggled with learning just basic music. But Josh just kind of like making his own sounds, and he had an ear for it, so he could usually hear something and repeat it at least recognizably. And so that's kind of what he liked to do with his music, and it's what he did with his music. And as with everything in life with Josh, he just did his own thing, and he was who he was, and that's what he did. But his goal is to be a rock star. And I remember, when he was little, we've always talked in our family, I don't care what it is you want to be, you can be it. Whatever you want to do in life, go do it. And don't let anything stop you. Never give up. Chase your dreams. Chase your passions. And Josh wanted to be a rock star. So I'm like, all right, buddy, let's do this thing. And I'd talk to him about what that path was, how to become a rock star. What do you got to do? And he didn't want to do any of that. And I'd be like, well, Josh, if you want to be a rock star, you're going to have to do this, kind of follow the steps here. And as usual with Josh, he would just do his own thing. So, nope, I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it my way. Thank you.
I mean, like, hard relate to all of that. All right, I don't know. So what? Been over 2 hours now. Left. Let's jump the last 5 minutes. A good picture going. Does it just play his music at the end?
I'd say he's Josh. He's
Alright,
just
right,
how's-
this is. Let's
I
go
learned
back.
about acceptance, and I learned
Let's do the last 10 minutes.
just kind of left behind, and we became the dynamic duo again. So that was Josh's stubbornness. Josh was literally the most unique human being I've ever met. He truly marched to the beat of his own drum and did so unapologetically, despite nonstop judgment, harassment, and the abuse he lived with. I sincerely wish that I could have the courage to be so true to myself without fear of judgment. And I told him this every day that I saw him. Josh,
This is really sincere, and is obviously going to build up to quite an emotional ending. The fucking shirt that he's got is just tears through the fabric of any conversation that's been having around it. I'd rather, can I even say this on YouTube? I'd rather beat off 2 women than beat women. Is quite a statement. It's up there with Chris Chan's Mounting Do Me, the Mountain Dew shirt.
you are the strongest person I know. I don't know another human being who could deal with the harassment you deal with on a daily basis and be okay in any way, shape, or form. The nonstop abuse and to just still have a smile on your face of any kind was amazing to me. And he was such a strong person. And I think as a parent of a child with special needs, and I think most parents with children with special needs would say the same thing, I learned way more from Josh than I ever taught him. Because I learned about life, and I learned about people, and I learned about acceptance, and I learned about tolerance, and I learned about patience, and I learned about all of this because I had such a unique, wonderful, beautiful boy. Whenever my family and friends would ask me, "How's Josh?" I'd say, "He's Josh. He's just Josh." Because that was the best way to describe Josh. He's just Josh. And the family and friends who knew Josh would always say, "Yep, I get that." I'd like to raise a glass to Josh. A drink combo if you got it. And Josh, when this is over, I'll go pour one out for you, buddy. I'm going to do a toast to you right now, as we all are. Josh, you accomplished something in life that many people never will. You made a difference. You accomplished something that most people want in life but won't achieve. You left your mark on the world, and you're going to be remembered. I wish you could see just how much you were loved and cared about, Josh. But deep down, I honestly think that you knew that most people were rooting for you and not against you, buddy. Josh, I'm so proud to be your dad. And I'm going to miss you more than you can ever know. To Josh, long live Gothic King Cobra. I love you, bud.
If I weren't so bitter, that would have got me. This fucking song. Clint's never gonna see this stream, and my opinion don't mean anything. But I don't know. I think that was beautiful. I skipped a bit at the end, but the majority of it, I think it was. I think that was really sincere. And to make this about me, I hope when I die, they don't play one of my songs. God damn. I love this. Like, I think someone that didn't get Josh would play, like, you know, a fucking piano version of I don't know, some song that's always played, but the fact that he's actually gone with this fucking crazy King Cobra song at the end is. Yeah. That was good. I wonder what the comments are like on it. Okay. Thank you for joining our family in celebrating Josh's life. There's only 14 comments on this. I wonder if comments have been like, because it's got like what's 5,000 upvotes. Like, I wonder if they're deleting comments, which is a shame if they are. Not the fact that like he's, you know, editing the narrative, but the fact that he's had to go in and delete comments means there were probably horrible stuff being said. It's a shame. But anyway, let's see if I can get my hands on it. What I'm want to finish with. Oh damn! Gave it away a little bit. Can I download this? I don't know if I've turned it down enough so it can't be heard, but it's fucking song. Madness. Alright. So, for my recent birthday, my flatmate at the time, Kirk, bought a cameo from King Cobra. He was trying to get tactical soap. He was trying to get some tactical soap, but he couldn't. So he got a cameo from King Cobra. And in typical King Cobra fashion, at first he thought my flatmate was a troll, and he didn't want to do it. And once my flatmate convinced him it was genuine, I think it only cost like £2.50, $3 or something. So cheap. Once my flatmate finally convinced him that it was genuine, he sent this over. Typical King Cobra fashion, it's very half-assed. So if you give me 1 second, figure out media source, display capture, window capture. I should have had this lined up, but I completely forgot about it until now.
Happy birthday to Ben.
Oh, why does it not play? Maybe I can do it. Oh, no, there it is.
Happy birthday to Ben. You turn 38. That's what's up. Keep fighting the good fight against the sickos. Fuck the trolls and fuck the sickos. And the circle protection around you, Ben, and your buddy Kirk.
So there you go. Like that, bashed out as quickly as he could. But yeah, I know. Apart from my attempt to send him a picture of Bedrick the dog, there was that I got from him. So yeah, I don't know. Since he's died, has been, because it's his stuff would all pop up on my subscription feed on YouTube, and it doesn't anymore, obviously. But yeah, I know. Feel bad for the dad, really. Bad. But I guess that's it for stream. Thank you, everyone that's been watching or will watch retrospectively, whatever. I'm actually starting to enjoy these now. I've enjoyed them from the beginning. I mean, why else am I doing? But no, getting in now. So every time I check any of this, it gets so confusing. So this Thursday, there's a new Binary Order single. It's a dual single. My Favorite Pain and Beautiful. They're one song each from the double album that's coming out. My Favorite Pain's from White Dream. Beautiful's from Black's Nightmare. They're out this Thursday on all streaming services. You can catch them now. If you head over to the Patreon, you can get them early. But why would you do that? Just wait 4 days. Get it that way for free. It'll be on YouTube everywhere. I hope you like the song. Next time I do this stream, they'll be out. So, as before, thanks everyone for showing up. Hopefully, I'll see you next time.